Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 4 of Truth Bombs. And today we have an incredibly special guest and a woman, a doctor who I had the opportunity of meeting in Vegas. And when I went up to their booth at the Medical Aesthetics Show, I was blown away by two things. Number one, the innovation that I'm seeing in the beauty industry. And number two, the truth and transparency that Dr. Humble shared with me right from the get-go. Now, this woman is driven by her core belief that external beauty should reflect the beauty we feel inside. And I would love for that to sit with you for a moment because we're going into a deep conversation about skincare and beauty today. And I believe that if we have that as the foundation of our beliefs, everything else makes more sense. Now, Dr. Humble founded Klotho Skin with the intention of achieving a scientifically effective method to maintain truly youthful skin. Dr. Humble is a medical doctor specializing in aesthetic anti-aging who is based in San Francisco and Los Angeles. At the undergraduate level, she studied genetics and regenerative medicine, which has become her passion. And I'm so honored for her to be here today to share a little bit about her story before Klotho Skin became the main project. And Dr. Humble, thank you for your time. I know that you have an extensive background, and I would just love for you to share a little bit about yourself with people leading up to finding and founding Klotho Skin.
Well, good morning to you, and thank you for having me, first of all. It's a pleasure. A little background before we go into the science of Klotho Skin. This is a 20-year journey we've been through with many failures, which is something everyone goes through when they're starting a project of this magnitude. The Klotho gene is an age-suppressing gene that was discovered in 1997 by Japanese scientists in a wild strain of mouse. I want to pause here. We have done absolutely no animal testing. This was all previous research. But it turns out that all mammals have the same age-suppressing gene called Klotho. Klotho was one of the 3 Greek fates in Greek mythology. She's the one who spun the thread of life. She was renowned for her beauty and her wisdom. And that's what we all want, I think. So they named the gene after Klotho. It's spelled Klotho. And this is, again, the first and only age-suppressing gene in mammals. In the mouse model, the mouse that had an overproduction of this gene actually lived 31% longer, and every system stayed younger. A fellow mouse that had a downregulation of this gene died at 5% of his lifespan with early atherosclerosis, pulmonary emphysema, renal disease, atrophic or thinning skin, and lousy fur. So we have the ability to change this age-suppressing gene as well. What we've done is develop the first skincare line that is approaching working on a genetic level. We took adult mesenchymal stem cells, that is, stem cells that came from fat, they're kept in a bank, and we genetically modified their DNA. As you know, genes are on the DNA. So by using an on and off switch, we were able to turn up the production of the Klotho gene in these stem cells. Now, I always think a visual is important. Stem cells sit in a little petri dish. I don't know if you remember this from high school biology. And they're alive. You actually have to feed them. And then they excrete a fluid. This fluid is called cell-conditioned medium, especially with stem cells. This fluid is amazing. It's filled with growth factors. And this is actually the original finding of Skin Medica that I think you've all heard of, TNS. So they introduced this all to the market, and of course, it has a huge following. What we did was go one step further because it's been 20 years since Skin Medica came out. So we genetically modified the stem cell, and we got the Klotho protein, and yes, it's a gene and a protein, in the cell-conditioned medium with second-generation growth factors. Now, growth factors are very important. They're what make you heal your skin. They're used on every single cell. Quantitatively and qualitatively, our growth factors are higher in number. And if you want to go into the science, we actually do an ELISA assay to monitor this. So it's all very specific. This cell conditioned medium then makes up 25% of our face serum, 15% of our eye serum, and 10% of our night cream. So we had a long journey getting here. We tried many other things. We even had a failed patent. Well, we got the patent, but the process failed. But after 20 years, we're really proud to present this.
Wow, what a story. And for all of you who are listening, and maybe you want to know more about the Klotho gene and the protein and where this all came from, and we're going to be sharing that with you. And I have a question, Dr. Humble, because you didn't just create this product. This was a passion. And I can tell just by how you share this with people and how generous you've even been with Megan and I discovering this skincare line. I would love to know, what was it before you started Klotho that made you go, I'm going to start a new company. I'm going to create a new skin line. Was it a dissatisfaction of what was out there already? Like, what really pushed you to start this endeavor? Because I'm going to call it a 19-year startup. That is something very admirable. And I'm excited for us to release this even more to the public. But what was the turning point where this became your main project?
That's a good question. The turning point was actually, I knew I could make something that really worked. I think we're all tired of having drawers full of products we buy. We use them for a while. We try something else, but every day we see our skin aging. And I think if we have the ability to slow the aging process, if our skin doesn't have to age like everyone else's, then we have something really special. And that was the driving force. My favorite saying, and men, please don't mind if you're watching, because we're coming out with a men's serum as well, is that every woman starts her day with 22 hours. An hour in the morning getting ready and an hour at night taking care of her skin before she goes to bed. And I think, there's a high standard for women. We get judged on our skin, our beauty, our bodies. Now, I don't want to go into the Barbie monologue here, but I think they had it down. If any of you saw the Barbie movie, we have a very high threshold, and we really do want to look as beautiful on the outside as we feel in the inside.
It's so true. My question for you is, what is the main difference for someone who's maybe using skincare that they're getting at Ulta or someplace right now, and they're looking, what's the difference between these two for them?
That's a great question as well. I think let's talk about ages. We start bony remodeling in our 20s. After 40, we're losing 5 cc's of volume from our face every year. Our collagen production decreases by 1% at 40 years old. The aging process starts a lot earlier than we think it does. It doesn't happen overnight. So if you can get something and start it young, that's actually going to slow the aging process, I think it's amazing for all age groups. Now, I don't know if you want me to go into the science right now, but I'll show you the slide real quickly. This was the original 3 mice that were found with the Klotho suppressing gene. You can see the mouse on the right looks way younger. All these mice are the same age, but if you had the ability to look younger and extend possibly the life of your skin, everyone would want to do it. So how is this amazing gene actually working? What it does on a cellular level is it increases something called FOXO1. FOXO1, when it is increased, then increases something called superoxide dismutase, or SOD, just like your front lawn. What this does is it prevents the cell from having oxidative stress. Now, how is that different than an antioxidant that a lot of these products talk about? They wait until the damage is done, and then they try to quench the free radicals. Think of it like this. Think of your cell being a room with a wild bull running around, wrecking everything. That's a free radical. So antioxidants wait till the bull's there and they try and catch them. We never let the bull in the room. That's why your cell life is extended and you see the results in your skin and every other system. Now, there's a lot of work being done with the Klotho Skin all over the world. UCSF is actually working with the Klotho gene and Alzheimer's. Klotho Therapeutics is working with the Klotho gene and renal disease. We have spent 20 years working with Klotho Skin.
Wow. So really quick, circling back to what you said. So should we be starting this at the age of 20, you think?
Absolutely. This is something that you start early on and you continue through your whole life.
Wow. Okay. And does this replace everything that we're using, or do we add it in additionally?
Well, that's a great question because you actually don't have to go off your other products. You can stay on your vitamin C serum, which of course is an antioxidant. You can stay on your Retin A, your Tazarac, or any other retinol product that you're using. But think of the Klotho face serum almost like a medication. One pump, you put it on morning and night. The same is true with the eye serum, and the night cream is used to cloak everything so it stays in, because we know the nighttime is when your skin absorbs the most.
Well, I can say that for certain, and I'll go into my testimonial a bit later using this product because it's night and day, and I'm going to share all those photos with you. But I want to go back to something you said that's very important. When you talked about oxidative stress and free radicals and how Klotho doesn't even allow them in. So would you say that this is a preventative and a corrective? Because I also know that even for myself, I had discoloration in my skin, and it even showed areas where I had some scarring from cystic acne from a long time ago. That has gone away now. So I'd love to know, is this a corrective skincare and a preventative skincare? And also, when we talk about medical grade skincare, there's a lot out there. What does that even mean for people that maybe are new to this?
Okay, let me take the questions one at a time. This product is one of the few products, the only product that's preventative, protective, and regenerative. And I'm going to go into a little detail of clinical studies. We just had a clinical study where we took fibroblasts, that's skin cells, and we bathed them in the Klotho cell conditioned medium. We then irradiated them with UVA irradiation. Everyone knows the UVAs are harmful, and that's why we use sunblock. But amazingly, out of all the 12 ingredients, only azobenene covers one range. So we're usually unprotected from one range. When we took the fibroblast and bathed them in the cell conditioned medium with the Klotho protein, we then monitored the DNA damage, and it was reduced by 40%. So every day, each one of our cells is getting oxidized and getting DNA damage. That's the other way that the Klotho protein works. Now, you asked, how is it different when it's medical grade? Cosmeceuticals is a new term that's come out, and it's not really regulated by the FDA. So it's really up to the individual companies to make sure that they have something that works. That's what motivated us. It is something that you'll find in the doctor's office generally, although you can find it from our website. But your doctor should also be having it in their office, and they can work with you in your different skin types. I want to circle around to what you called your dark spots that went away. We originally did not think the Klotho protein or the cell conditioned medium cell in Klotho Skin were going to affect dark spots, but we just had another clinical trial end. And this was done by Pearl Grimes. She's a huge dermatologist in Beverly Hills. 16 patients, 4 controls, and they were on the Klotho face serum only morning and night. Other than that, they did not change their lifestyle or anything else they were using. We just got the results and we're really excited about them, because what was statistically significant was the improvement in dyschromia or pigment, as well as rhytids or wrinkles, with significant improvement in photo damage. Overall, the global improvement after 3 months was 2.5 times. We did one other prior clinical study with 10 patients, and we showed after 3 months, there was a 30% reduction in photo damage, right? Improvement in rhytids and improvement in texture. And I think you'll find that if you use the product, you notice a change in your skin fairly soon. Some people say as soon as 3 days, I tell them 3 weeks, but your real permanent improvement comes at 3 months.
Okay, that's amazing. So what can they expect? How long will each serum, each night cream last them then?
So each bottle of the face serum is meant to last 3 to 4 months. But I will say that will be your second bottle because everybody, it has a air pump, airless pump. Everybody overuses it. So expect to go through your first bottle in 2 months. Then you'll learn that you need very, very little. The product is amazingly emollient, very pleasant smelling, and one pump will cover your whole face. One little caveat here, when you think you've run out, unscrew the top. There's a couple more days inside.
I love it. How exciting.
I love Megan's face right now. She's so excited. And I have a couple other questions because there's a few things that you said, Dr. Humble, that I think is really important because Megan kind of brought this to my attention this year. And she goes, most skincare, most beauty is good marketing. Okay. And we're not here to put anything down. We all have our favorites and that's great. But you said something at the beginning about stem cells. And you and I had a conversation in Vegas about plant stem cells. And a lot of products right now are coming out with plant stem cells. So can you give us your opinion on those? And can we educate people a little bit about what is good marketing and what is actually working?
Okay. So there's basically, I've learned a lot through all this. There's basically only about 20 ingredients to put in a skincare line out there until Klotho Skin came along. There's hyaluronic, everyone knows about that. There's a retinol, there's shea butter, there's different things. Of course, you've all heard about these before. There wasn't really any way to do a new product until Klotho Skin came along. This is something novel. This is new technology. This is like, wow. I forgot what you asked me on the other questions.
That's okay. We'll pause it and then I'll cut it. I asked about plant stem cells and do they work?
Okay, yeah. Now, one of my greatest pet peeves, as you know, is products that have plant stem cells in it or plant growth factors. When you really think about it, it makes sense. Plant growth factors don't work on mammals, and we are mammals, at least most of us. So that entire industry is a little bit sketchy, I would say. You have to use things that are actually going to work on mammals or humans if you want to see real results. I'm going to talk about one other thing here and segue. The other question when you're looking at your products is, are they even getting through your skin? So the Klotho protein in this case is a rather large protein. And when I'm approached by PhDs, they always say, Gail, this is amazing, but how does it get through the skin? Well, what we do is we use liposome technology to cloak the protein. Now, as you know, when you get out of the pool, water comes off your face. That's because your skin is hydrophobic, but it is lipophilic, meaning it loves anything with a fat base. So by cloaking the Klotho protein, we then get it to the target organ, which is your own skin cell.
I actually didn't know that about how plant-based stem cells or plant-based anything doesn't have the same effects on humans. And one of the things I noticed, because I do have a few products that I'm finishing up that have plant-based, and they give a really nice hydration, a really nice like under makeup. But when I started using Klotho, what I recognized is that I didn't actually have like, you know, when you put on a lotion, you have like kind of like a shimmer and a glow. I didn't have that with Klotho. It actually almost like matted my skin and it looked beautiful. And I thought to myself, oh my goodness, it's literally absorbing instantly when I put it on. Now, is that one of the reasons that we are able to notice such fast results with these products, is the way that it absorbs and works? And how deep into the skin does the Klotho protein go?
Well, so in addition to the liposome technology, we're actually also using a micronized hyaluronic acid. This helps suck the product into the skin. That's why you see it absorb so quickly. It's going to your skin cells, into your fibroblasts, and there it will do the work to help resist oxidative stress. We know that oxidation is one of the 3 reasons our cells age. We found in another clinical cellular trial, sorry guys, we found
You're
in
good.
another cellular trial that when we took cells in the lab and we bathed them in the cell conditioned medium at the right concentration, we actually had an increase of 2 other genes, HTERT and SIRT6. Now, both of these genes preserve the end of telomeres. I think we all know telomeres are like the holy grail of aging. You start with a telomere like this, and it shortens and shortens and shortens until the point that your cell dies. So these other genes act as caps so that the ends don't break off and your cell lives longer.
We're big into telomeres over here. We always describe them like the caps on the end of shoelaces.
Yes,
and so
exactly.
I actually didn't know that. And I find that really fascinating. And that kind of goes into, sorry, Megan, I saw you thinking you might have a question. Before we go there, one of the things I would really love to touch on, and something that I'm fascinated by, and which it was a heck yes for me linking arms with Klotho, was when you told me about the clinical studies about the tumor suppressant. And this, to me, I have a history where in my family with my dad, he had tumors, and I'm not saying this is why I'm using the skincare, but that fascinated me on a medical grade level. Can you talk a little bit about the clinical study of the tumor suppressant and why that is really groundbreaking in a skincare line study?
Absolutely. Now, we can't call the product tumor suppressive, but what we did was we took skin cells and we bathed them in the Klotho protein and then used UVA irradiation. We found that there was a 40% reduction in DNA damage. UVAs are responsible for causing a lot of our skin cancers. We then repeated the study, thinking we irradiated too much, and we used what was similar to an 8-hour day of sunlight exposure. We had the exact same results 15 times. So there is definitely a 40% reduction in DNA damage. We are publishing this paper. We also found that with UVB irradiation, which is a different wavelength, but also causing damage and a lot of the photoaging in skin and collagen breakdown, then when we had the cells bathed in the Klotho cell conditioned medium, they actually increased collagen 4. Now, collagen 4 is really important in making your basal membrane and keeping your skin strong.
Wow.
It's amazing.
So every tanning place should be selling this, is what you're saying.
Absolutely. No
Yes.
doubt about it. And they should probably close down while they're at it.
Because we have you here and it's such a privilege to be educated by you, I'd love to know, like, I know that none of the Klotho products have UVA, UVB protection, and it's one of the topics. I live in Mexico. One of the things that we're always looking at is protection. Can I ask, what is your personal preference when it comes to sunscreen and the face and skincare? Like, what do you recommend for people to do? Do you put on your 3 steps of Klotho, or I guess you're only using the face serum? Does it go face serum, cream, skin, and sunscreen, then makeup? Like, what is your routine? Because this is something that I'm hearing people talk about differently everywhere you go.
We always can use the Klotho Skin like a medication. It's going to go on your skin first. Add your other products, your vitamin C, whatever else you feel like you want. Your sunblock always goes last. My recommendation would be to use a physical sunblock. There's many good ones out there, but you have to use almost a teaspoon to cover your face, and you have to reapply every 2 hours. You can't just put it on in the morning and expect it to work all day. That's why you need something like Klotho Skin that actually is working on a cellular level all day.
Wow. Well, I feel like I have a really good understanding of this. And you had mentioned that there's a men's line, and I'd love to know, like, can men use the current line that we have available? And one of the things I love about this, and maybe we can go into this a little bit, is this is a really simple line. This is not like you have 14 different products that you have to like put stickers on to remember what to do. This is 4 products. Some you use morning and night, some you use just at night. Can men use it too? And the simplicity of this line is what really draws me in, especially since you can combine it with other things.
Yes. So the men's serum will not be coming out till next year, but we're pretty excited about that because we're actually going to make a difference based on the difference in men's skin, not just change the perfume in it. But until then, fellows, please feel free to use the face serum. Actually, 2 of our original patients in the study were men, and they look fabulous. They don't go a day without it. And it's simple. Again, I don't want to call men simple, but they like easy, ready to follow. They don't want to do the 20 steps that women are willing to do.
Thank you for that. And my boyfriend's been using it actually. And I will say that I'm still using my same face serum and he uses it also. And that's one of the things that I noticed is that like you said, after a couple of weeks, I was like, I don't need as much at all. It's unbelievable how smooth it goes on. And you're someone that lectures around the world on anti-aging, medical aesthetics. And I would just love to know, before we come to a close on this, is there anything that's going on right now in research or things that you're discovering that are really fascinating when it comes to anti-aging? Do you feel like 2024 is the year for us to have some groundbreaking new information or science when it comes to anti-aging? Is there anything at the top of your heart that you'd love to share with all of us today?
I think genetics is the future, and you're starting to see people work with that. I don't know if you know, but the CRISPR gene was used to stop on a cellular level one of the rare diseases. That's a gene that acts like a pair of scissors on a cellular level and actually cuts out the bad gene. I think we're going to see a lot more of this. Now, there's still people running around talking about the original stem cells that were not genetically altered. You hear the term exosomes now. I'm going to share another pet peeve with you. An exosome is an envelope. What it carries depends on what cell it breaks off of. So they by themselves are not something that works with anti-aging. It depends where they come from. Make sure you always ask. But I think the cellular recovery, which then results in the overall well-being and anti-aging in the human, is where the future is going. And genetics is going to play a big part in that.
I find that fascinating, especially my background is hair loss. I'm a certified trichologist. And so I was always looking at preventative scalp care. And when I was at a lot of these shows last year and I was seeing all this happening with exosomes, and the question couldn't get answered about where it was coming from. So thank you for mentioning that, because I had my own little things on here. I was like, I don't know about this, but thank you. And thank you for your knowledge. I know that Megan and I would love to have you back on educating more. And we want you to tell us, how is your journey with Klotho going? Are you using the 4 products? Are you using just the serum? Let us know. And if you have any questions for Dr. Humble about anti-aging, skincare in general, or the Klotho line, please pop them in the comments of this video or the full video on YouTube so that we can have her back on for maybe even a live Q&A. Dr. Humble, thank you for your time, for your expertise, for the 19 years you poured into the skincare line. And Megan and I, our promise is that we are going to do as much as we can to get this product line out into the public this year. And thank you for giving us the opportunity to do that.
Thank you so much for having me.